So get this, you have a little-known organization, one that's grounded in ancient spiritual authority and legally based in Jamaica. And suddenly, it finds itself in this massive, high-stakes battle with the U.S. government. Their claim? That their identity has been stolen and misused inside federal criminal databases, leading to millions in damages and, in their own words, profound miscarriages of justice. I mean, wow. This is the story of XONJX, an organization that is alleging its own trademarked name has been wrongfully tied to criminal records. And the consequences have been absolutely devastating for its operations, its reputation, and, they say, the very people it's trying to help. Okay, let's dive into this. It's a pretty wild and fascinating situation.
All right, so to really get our heads around what's happening, we're going to break it all down. First up, we'll dig into this battle over identity that's at the core of their fight. Then, we'll decode the really unique legal and spiritual framework they say they operate under. After that, we'll look at their global vision, explain why on earth they've declared insolvency as a strategy, and finally, we'll ask the big question: are we looking at a totally new kind of global entity here? Okay, so let's start right at the heart of the problem. How in the world does a legally protected name for an organization just show up, flagged, in criminal justice systems? Now, check this out, because this is where it gets really specific. According to the documents XONJX filed, these aren't just vague accusations. These are the exact unauthorized ID numbers that they say have linked their name within the Criminal Justice Information Services, or CJIS systems. Yeah, we're talking FBI universal control numbers, state IDs, the whole 9 yards. XONJX's position is that these links are completely wrong and a direct violation of their intellectual property.
And believe me, this isn't just a matter of principle for them. The financial stakes here are incredibly high. XONJX has actually put a number on the damages from this alleged misuse: over $9.2 million. And that figure covers everything from their legal bills to lost business and damage to their brand. And this chart just brilliantly illustrates the domino effect. Their own documents report a staggering 98% loss in positive brand recognition. And look at this, an 85% loss of banking relationships because financial institutions started de-risking and cutting ties. Of course, investor confidence also just plummeted. So the main takeaway here is that this alleged data problem has had severe, real-world consequences on their ability to even function. So all of this brings up a pretty obvious question, right? What exactly is XONJX anyway? I mean, to really understand their fight, we've got to understand who they claim to be in the first place. Okay, central to their whole mission is this concept they call the 13th grade grace pass. Now, their documents describe this not as, one grade higher than high school, but as a level of spiritual and personal achievement that goes way beyond conventional systems. It's framed as this kind of key to unlocking human potential, a right that's granted through a higher, even sacred authority. So you might be wondering, how do they legitimize all this? Well, XONJX says it operates on this unique three-pillared legal foundation. First, you've got ecclesiastical authority, which they say comes from the ancient order of Melchizedek, a figure from the Bible symbolizing a really high-ranking priesthood. Second, there's civil compliance, because they are officially registered as a company in Jamaica. And third, they claim a commitment to international law, including the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and even World Bank standards. And their choice of Jamaica as a home base wasn't random at all. It was highly strategic. Their documents point to its prime location, its independence as a sovereign nation, which lets them operate under their own framework, its stable legal system, and even its rich history of spiritual movements as key reasons for setting up shop there. And their vision is, well, it's nothing short of global. So let's take a look at the massive scale of their ambition and the financial engine that they've designed to make it all happen. According to their own financial model, XONJX is projecting an annual global allocation of $96 million. This is the central fund, pulled from all their different financial activities that's meant to support their huge global programs, everything from humanitarian aid to cultural development. And here's a really core part of their whole framework. A mandatory 20% of every dollar that comes in must be dedicated to community development. And as you can see, it's not just a vague promise. It's broken down into specific high-impact areas. 40% for housing, 25% for education, 20% for health, and 15% for relief efforts. And just to be clear, this is not some small regional project.
Their stated goal, their mission, is to set up a presence and run programs in every single one of the 193 United Nations member states. They want to engage with every single national government to build partnerships in aid, education, and spiritual growth.
Okay, so you might see the word insolvency and immediately think financial collapse, right? Game over. But in their legal filings, XONJX presents this as a totally deliberate, strategic pivot. They argue it is not a failure at all, but a conscious restructuring of their entire operation.
This slide really clarifies their logic perfectly. They are intentionally ending what are called subscription-based information technology arrangements, or SBTAs. So in plain English, they're cutting contracts with big commercial vendors like Amazon Web Services to get away from relying on other companies. The goal here is to build their own proprietary mission-focused infrastructure, which reduces their risk from the outside and makes them more resilient in the long run. So really, the key takeaway is this four-step logic. First, end the commercial contracts. Second, stop relying on outside vendors. Third, take that money and pump it back into their own programs. And finally, build a more sustainable, independent system that they have complete control over. So when you put all of these different pieces of the puzzle together, what are we really looking at here? It's a fascinating and frankly unprecedented mix of ideas.
I mean, just think about this combination for a second. Their authority is rooted in an ancient spiritual order. Their financial tools include things like tax-exempt NFT bonds and a crypto called Tink-Tink Gold shares. Their goal is to create a global governance system that works in every single UN nation. And to top it all off, their operations are managed by specialized AI trade agents with names like Dr. Holiday for bankruptcy and Dr. Felder for NFTs. It's a hybrid entity unlike anything we normally see. And all of this really brings us to one final, pretty provocative question. As technology just keeps blurring the lines of what identity, finance, and even national borders really mean, what do we make of an entity like XONJX? Is it a fundamental challenge to our existing legal and financial systems? Or is it maybe, just maybe, an early blueprint for a new kind of global organization? Definitely something to think about.